bill questions. The honourable member from Thornhill.
Prime Minister is not worth the cost, and after 8 years, this Prime Minister is no longer even listening to Canadians. A 23% carbon tax hike in the face of Canadians who can't afford to eat. Yesterday, this House passed a Conservative common sense motion calling on him to convene an emergency televised carbon tax meeting with all 14 premiers. The Prime Minister is hiding, but maybe someone over there can tell us what day will the televised carbon tax meeting be.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Speaker, today we are debating Bill C-50, the Sustainable Jobs Act, which the Royal Bank of Canada says there are 400,000 of to come to Canadians if we were just to unlock the kind of prosperity envisaged in this very progressive piece of legislation. Instead, the Conservatives put forward 20,000 amendments generated by artificial intelligence. The Robo-Caucus needs to stop its robo-work with its robo-amendments and stop gatekeeping the opportunities that are coming to Canadians.
Right on. The honourable member from Thornhill.
It's false, and that wasn't an answer. Canadians need relief and not more liberal taxes. 70% of Canadians are now saying so. 1 in 10 people in Toronto are now relying on a food bank, and more than half of Canadians are $200 away from missing their bills. If they aren't going to listen to Canadians, if they aren't going to give us a date, perhaps the member can tell us what channel will the carbon tax meeting be on.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the channel they should be plugged in, I don't know what it is, but it is the reality channel, because back here in the real world, there are real jobs at stake, there are real opportunities at stake, there is affordability at stake, and these members, the Robo-Caucus, with their robo-amendments, in the way of opportunity and the way of progress and clean technology in this country, they need to get out of the way, stop the gatekeeping, let Canadians create the wealth that we need to succeed.
The honourable member from Thornhill.
Once again, he didn't answer the question, and I'm not really sure what that was. But if he won't listen to Canadians, and they won't listen to their NDP caucus, the Prime Minister won't listen to his successor, Mark Carney, who also wants him to meet with premiers. They won't give us a date. They won't give us a time. They won't tell us what channel to watch. The Prime Minister won't even show up here and answer to this motion. The Prime Minister is being defiant when Canadians are lining up at food banks in record numbers. What are you covering for?
The Honourable President of the Treasury Board.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister has repeatedly said he is all ears. If there is a better plan, put it on the table. Premier Moe himself said this was the most cost-effective plan, and that's why our government will keep going with it while maintaining our AAA credit rating, while maintaining the lowest debt-to-GDP ratio in the G7, and while maintaining historically low unemployment. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we will always vote with Canadians and support them along the way. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Outremer-Lévis. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. After 8 years of this Prime Minister, we've suffered a passport crisis, an increase in violent crime, the doubling of rent costs, millions of people going to food banks, and criminals in our very homes. That's a great record. Quebecers are suffering because of this government's mismanagement, and now it's invading provincial jurisdictions. Will the Prime Minister listen to the Premier of Quebec, who is asking to finally mind his own business? The Honourable Minister for Public Services and Procurement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Six affordable housing units. That's what the Leader of the Opposition built when he was Minister for Housing. Throughout Canada and throughout his mandate, with the collaboration of the Government of Quebec and hand in hand with municipals, 8,000 units will be built over the next few weeks. I would like to invite my colleague, the member for Bellechasse-les-Outremer-Lévis, to come with me to visit a building project in Lévis, where there will be 23 affordable housing units just for that unit and that project. The Honourable Member for Bellechasse-les-Outremer-Lévis. To the already long list of failures of this Liberal government, we can add a total slackness in the management of public finances and the squandering of Quebecers' money. The government spends Canadians' money indiscriminately. It has no budgetary discipline over the past 8 years, and as a result, the debt is doubling. It has not balanced a budget, and then it wants to manage the province's affairs and lecture them. Quebec Premier François Legault is adamant that this federal government should finally mind its own business. Will the government listen to him, yes or no? The Honourable Leader of the Government in the House of Commons. Mr. Speaker, let us talk about a former Premier of Quebec, Mr. Charest, with whom this very member sat and voted for a pollution pricing system. And so I think that the hypocrisy from that side is rather striking, especially in a context where today we're talking about 400,000 potential jobs in Canada, thanks to green technology, thanks to our new economy. That member is against these kind of opportunities in battery factories in Quebec, for example. On this side of the House, we are for opportunities for Quebecers, Mr. Speaker.